Shut up and sit down.
It's round 5 of the ChampCar iRacing series, and it brings us to another one of our, I want to call it, fantasy rounds, a circuit that is not on the ChampCar Endurance Series calendar, but one that's available on iRacing, and we thought just might keep things a little fresh in this sim series. Well, it can almost stand in for some other smaller, tight, twisty circuits in the northeast, like Thompson, for example. We don't have the road course available to us on iRacing. Hopefully that's something that maybe changes in the future. But it's about the here and now. It's about round 5, and it's about the Pontiac Solstice as well. Great turnout of sim and ChampCar drivers. It doesn't take a whole lot of them. It doesn't take a huge number to start to feel a little claustrophobic and a little busy around a circuit like this. What are we, 1.5 miles or so? Or is it 2.5 around Lime Rock? It's something I should have looked at before. 1.5 miles or so. So it's qualifying underway right now before the typical race format for the ChampCar iRacing series, which is a 1-hour race, where there is going to be a pit stop required somewhere in the middle there. It's Pontiac Solstice, GM Ecotec 4-cylinder, relatively economical on the fuel compared to the street stock, compared to the Ford Mustang FR 500S that we've also seen in ChampCar iRacing series competition. That should give a pretty broad fuel window. Thinking about it, Raymond Muratore has seen that pit entry is maybe more difficult than you initially anticipate, but I don't think he was aiming for that. I think he's made the mistake that many a quality driver have made over the years and just tagged a little bit of the grass on the outside of the fast final corner. Very important to carry your speed through there down towards turn number 1. So let's talk then a big picture about this championship. 16 rounds across the calendar year, and some prizes and glory on the line. 1,500 US ChampCar credits up for grabs to the championship winner across the whole season, and also another prize being drawn out of the hat, and the names in that hat is every driver who completes at least 12 rounds of the schedule. And here we are at round 5. And kick things off at Road Atlanta, then VIR Ground West, Summit Point. Daytona last time out was pretty exciting. Lime Rock Park now for 60 minutes. A lot of ChampCar teams involved here in the iRacing series. Looking at some of the Love Racing guys working together there, and, well, what can they claim so far in qualifying? Nick Love, their namesake, in 11th. Charles Kowalczyk, 17th. Sean Saputra, 20th. As qualifying runs at the moment, with just a little bit of time left. Also seen Kruger Tuned and others out there. Points wise, Mark McCormick is that championship leader at the moment, also the defending champ, second on the grid as they are at the moment. Still time for change there, and the track's been cooling off just a little bit across this open qualifying session. So there's still time for a little bit of glory runs towards the end and towards the checkered flag on qualifying. But Simon Foweather is pole sitter at the moment. 3.5 tenths of a second is a lot for these cars, for this circuit. So we're talking equal setup across the board. We're talking a pretty compact and a pretty quick lap, just over 60 seconds. 3.5 tenths, therefore, in that kind of world, very, very handy little margin. A lot more than 3.5 tenths at Road America or another track like that. So the checkered flag on qualifying, drivers will complete their laps and then they'll be getting ready, gearing up for the 60-minute rolling start endurance race. Now the whole field ought to be able to work through the opening half of the lap double wide pretty easily. Once they get to that climbing chicane on the newer section of the layout, that's where single file is almost the only way to go about it. So drivers banging off the curbs there, maybe exchanging paint, banging doors through there as well. One place drivers can make a pass other than just turn one. Driver or two practicing their pit entry, never a bad idea for these races. It gets super close. That's where the tenths of a second in and out of the pit lane start to make a big difference. And there it is, that's the end of qualifying. Shane Cameron trying to make sure he maximised all of his practice time. We can look at the grid. Simon Foweather handily ahead of the rest of the field. What has he found at Lime Rock Park that everyone else was unable to? And Mark McCormick, Alex Albert, Tim Wire, all very close in that 1 minute 3.7 grouping. Andrew Cosick, Shane Cameron, Perry Elwood, Jordan Butler, Justin Hall, and Ian Giebler. It's the top 10. Carries on for Sean Wilding, Nick Love, Patrick Pursley, John Hurley, Orlando Harrell. I think we are going to see take the start. I was seeing a little question mark there, but Harrell is in the session. Davis Trask, Charles Kowalczyk, Greg Vandervert, Raymond Muratore, and Sean Saputra is the top 20. But wait, there's more. Jace Fianiak in 21, then Mark Kruger, David Warden, Lee Mullerman, Jared Cubitt, Lance Cameron, Jerry Barvanek, Harry Ramos. Everyone has a qualifying time. And well, in an hour session around Lime Rock Park, you got the opportunity to attempt plenty of them. It'll be a full formation lap, but that's not a particularly arduous task for this compact, bite-sized layout of a racetrack. So compact and bite-sized are some of the gnomes found hidden around the circuit for some reason. Every circuit's got to have its own little thing. Barber Motorsports Park, I've got giant spiders. Lime Rock Park, little gnomes. So they get rolling for the formation lap. The moment they roll off that grid, the moment the drivers place onto that grid, fuel burn is in effect, fuel damage is in effect. You are racing and you're on track, and this is your race car the moment you plonk it down on the grid in iRacing. Simon Foweather will be no doubt thinking, how can I put this qualifying advantage and this pole position to a race advantage? I think if you can work just a little bit clear of the rest of the field before they start thinking about pit stops, before they start maybe catching some traffic, which I think will be pretty key around here in racing conditions. If you can break clear just a little bit, that'll be so important. Foweather letting that pace car go a little bit, really packing up the field, too wide. 40 miles an hour underneath the bridge. Pace car races away. Foweather still pacing him through the final corner. McCormick to his outside, absolutely door to door, almost riding the brake, I think, ready to get going when Simon Foweather gets going, and Alex Albert right up behind Simon Foweather as well. 40 miles an hour, he's holding them, waiting for that green flag, waiting for Barney at the flag stand. And we will get going. Foweather will lead a very, very well packed up 2 rows down towards turn number 1. Foweather with the inside line, McCormick round the outside, hoping to get to turn 3 with some kind of advantage, and packed up field already causing a little bit of problems. Foweather was hoping to get to that inside of turn 3. He was there, and Foweather from the pole around backwards into the Armco. Not a great start at all for your pole sitter. A good and predictable move from McCormick. He now leads the field into that big braking zone, into the tight chicanes, and he has Alex Albert right with him. Kossik's picked up a couple spots through this as well. He's right with them in 3rd, so he's gained 2 spots in this opening lap. But it is a front bumper to a rear bumper for the lead of the race. Alex Albert pulling out, looking to turn number 1. Minimal overlap, but he'll look to outbrake into the long corners of 1 and 2, and McCormick might have gone in a little deep there. Got to be so careful not to catch any of that dirt and grass between the apexes at 1 and 2, because that'll see you all the way off. Albert has to defend the inside into 3. Kossick under pressure for 3rd. Close racing everywhere you look up front. Nothing between Albert and McCormick. Nothing between 3rd and 4th place there. Shane Cameron coming out of the blocks very aggressively, riding a lot of the curb through the final corner as well, trying to maximise that run on towards the pit straight. And shows, because Ian Giebler doesn't carry that momentum as he ran off wide. It was Wire that ran wide, and I think Giebler's taken advantage of that. You've got Butler and Wilding as teammates get checked up at the apex of 2. All happening in the top group of 9 cars or so. Albert holds on to that race lead. Giebler a big mover early going in this race. Started 10th, running 5th at the moment. And now he's right up with Shane Cameron and Andrew Kossick. Their way around a damaged car. Great example of the 2 different lines possible through 1 and 2. There's stay tight to the right hand side of the track all the way around, and there's break in deep and cut back to a late second apex. Sort of classic line versus double apex diamonding it. Great line through there for Giebler, but Cameron goes nowhere in front of him. And then Tim Wire joins the party there as well. So just really threading the needle through the tightest part there. Proving very critical to the lap time at the moment. Bit of traffic rejoining amongst the lead pack here. Not appearing to bother Alex Albert or Mark McCormick up front, but it was the drivers a little bit further behind that got stacked up. John Wilding and Tim Wire, for example. Kind of gap for the lead that you can pull out a tape measure for. Don't really need the stopwatch. Mark McCormick waiting on an error, maybe trying to force an error up front here. And it's the finest of margins through corners like that final corner. How you thread it through the chicanes as well. And Andrew Cosick in the mintiest Pontiac Solstice you ever did see, doing a very solid job of staying in touch with those leaders as well. McCormick, think about a dive down the inside on the right here. Is he still just waiting? He's still just waiting on this. The longer that carries on, Cosick does catch. Good run up the hill from Cosick. And he'll buy into this. And he made some pretty powerful versions of the Pontiac Solstice. This isn't it. So carrying the momentum through those slow sections of corners, through the long corners as well. Thinking 1, 2, and 3, that flowing section becomes pretty damn important when you don't got the turbocharged version of the Solstice. I think over an hour race distance, preserving the front left tyre could also be pretty important to how hard they can race each other later on. Top 4 closing back up and within a second as Andrew Cosick has caught some over the last couple of laps. So too is Shane Cameron. Unless my eyes are wrong, I think John Wilding also has one of the fastest laps of the race too. McCormick looking for the inside of 1, looking to take that lead back after quite a handful of laps of riding around, and I think that's as tidy a move as we'll get all race here. Albert saw that one coming and knows that he can buy back into this fight, drop immediately back behind, and once again it's front bumper to rear bumper, and buys a car length or 2 to Cosick as well to catch back up to the lead. I think Ian Giebler in 5th has also gotten 3 or 4 tenths back on the leaders this lap as well. 3 tenths is a lot around this racetrack in the way that they're racing at the moment. Different lines towards the apex of 1. Oh, so close to disaster there for Shane Cameron. Inches from that white line and from the dirt and for going from a little excursion, but he breaks in a straight line and then turns towards the apex, whereas I keep seeing Andrew Kosick braking as he points towards the apex for one. Almost in reaction to what first and second are doing. Oh, and it'll be 2 for 1 here for Ian Giebler. Bad ride over the bumps for Kosick. Shane Cameron nowhere to go, and Ian Giebler, all the momentum that is. He looks 200 IQ right now, in the right place at the right time and up the hill. Shoots from 5th up into 3rd. More positions gained for Ian Giebler, now +7 on a track where I thought passing was going to be pretty difficult, but he's taking his time, taking a couple of laps, and you get lots of laps in a race like this. Elsewhere, your top 5 running driver of Shane Cameron, his dad in the field, Lance Cameron, also a big mover, 26 on the grid, or he's 14th at the moment. A lot of cars in those opening laps did tangle on the pit straight. You can only go so far before you find some Armco. So Lance Cameron's kept his car out on track, avoided the pit lane, and he's +12 to be the biggest mover, and he's with David Warden, 13th, +10 spots. John Hurley, 12th, +2 spots. So Warden and Cameron putting some candy in their baskets. Now, what's Shane Cameron doing now? He's on the pit lane. I see some damage to the left-hand side of that car. So I think his hand has been forced a little bit on this strategy. And he'll be able to fuel the car to get to the end from here. So it's broken him away from the leaders, but it doesn't necessarily spell disaster for a points haul today. He's back out pretty rapidly. So at least one left side tyre, bit of fuel, and he'll get going. Realistically, I think it's only a gallon or 2 that the drivers, okay, maybe I'm underestimating a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 gallons, but not a whole lot of fuel needed to top up the tank and get you home. So Shane Cameron rejoins in 16th place as the highest running car to have been through the pit lane. Next highest running car to have been through the pit lane looks to be Patrick Pursley, and then Nick Love and Mark Kruger. Nick Love, is he just on the lead lap at the moment? I think he would be. Mark McCormick just dug through a little bit of the grass on the exit of turn 4. He's still got Alex Albert, Ian Giebler, and Andrew Kosick all not all up in his grill, because the grill's on the front, not the back of these cars. They're right with him. Big curb strike on the final corner. Big slide for Alex Albert. Once again, you couldn't fit another car between them as they head down towards turn number 1. Is 1 or 2 taps Morse code for hello? I think that's what McCormick got. A lot of traffic coming up though for these leaders, and this is where you find yourself in such a tough situation. Can't even flash the headlights on this older specification car. Top 3 at least get through in the braking zone for the chicanes. They're not bearing down on Nick Love quite as quick, and I'm sure Love would want to stay on the lead lap. And once again, Ian Giebler, so good through those corners, uphill. He's got his nose in for second place. Those are going to be the Giebler chicanes by the end of this. Every time I've seen him made a move, it's pretty much been there. Very good sense for when the drivers in front of him are going to have a bad run through there. Holds it a car length back, gets a good run up the hill, but immediately Alex Albert wants it back. So one of the biggest leads we've seen all race long, almost 15 minutes in. And it's pretty much a lap a minute for these cars around this place. Out to more than 7/10. Again, Giebler, great run up the hill, but this time, wrong-footed, wrong side of the track. They need to work out second and third here, what they're going to do. Because otherwise, McCormick's ready to leave him behind. Confused for Nick Love there, but he might be calling that a day if he's picked up more damage. Giebler's managed to grab that second place and hold on to it for a little bit longer than last time. Ship some tenths away from McCormick. Very stock interior to these cars. I think the analog fuel gauge in the middle of the dash works as well. Maybe that's one to keep an eye on. Maybe from the driver's perspective, but not from ours, unfortunately. Lucky for all of our viewers, though, Pontiac Solstice is free content in iRacing, so they can go and check it out for themselves and verify that I'm not making everything that I say up. McCormick with 1.2 seconds, broken away from any slipstream effect, of which there won't be a whole lot, but lap times and drivers this close does have a rubber banding effect to keep these groups of cars together. If they start catching lumps of traffic and McCormick can put cars, multiple cars, then between himself and Giebler and Albert, that's where it could start to come to pay some dividends. Andrew Kosick also had a bit of a rough time through the traffic last time they caught some a couple laps ago, and he's no longer able to hold with the top group, but holding on to fourth. John Wilding in fifth. And his teammate Jordan Butler a couple seconds behind. It's being caught by Tim Wire. Come across the line and 4.9 for Butler, 4.9 for Wire. So both of them right in the 1 minute 4.9s that last time around. Harry Elwood is 8th. Davis Trask up in a 9th, flying under the radar a little bit there, and John Hurley into the top 10. could be one of our races this season with a rather unpredictable top 10, I'm thinking. So we've got names like Nick Love, Simon Foweather, past winners in this championship, who are parked up and calling it a day. Cameron versus Cameron battle. Shane Cameron in 14th, hasn't been through the pit lane yet. Lance Cameron in 15th has. I think he's covered off the strategy. I got the strategy right and the first name's wrong. But Shane's got that strategy covered off a little earlier than anyone else, after clouting the wall somewhere. So he's just got to keep his nose clean the remaining 40 minutes. And you know what? The lap times are pretty good right now for Shane Cameron. We saw the left-hand side of the car go up. He's just done a 103.9, which does sound like the FM band that the local track comms would be on or something. But there's no one else with 63-second lap times at the moment. Leader 64.6. Albert in second 65.6 as they wear out their left-hand side tyres with the continual right turning around this track. Catch a little bit of traffic and just play it a little bit cool. Got to keep an eye on Shane Cameron's gap to the lead, because at the moment it stands at 39 seconds and it is reducing. Everyone's eventually going to have to make that pit stop, and this smells like a little bit of an undercut from Shane Cameron, only if he's calculated the required fuel amount right. If he's overfueled it and spent too long on the lane, then it might not work. Definitely don't count out a top 5 the way this is going. He's not just potentially pulling time out of the race leader, but it's the likes of Andrew Cosick and John Wilding in 4th and 5th that kind of needs to keep his eye on. The delta himself to those kind of positions. And Cosick might find himself in a bit of trouble here. He has been caught by John Wilding. Climbing up the hill they go. Andrew Cosick always wants us to say something about his paint, and I don't think I've seen that much Hello Kitty on it before, so that might be an addition. Wilding just gets around his teammate Jordan Butler, who is exiting the pit lane. So teammates are back together again, but separated by a lap on this occasion. What's Shane Cameron gone and done on this last lap? Just noticing that he's lost about 20 seconds or so on the last lap. Ouch. Well, the traffic is oh so tough around here. Traffic is tough. The question is, how tough is the Pontiac Solstice? And for Shane Cameron, not matching his blistering pace. Oh, whoa, no. I put to you that that car is not quite right. Scenic Connecticut Drive as he skips a corner or two. Maybe a little more. I think that's called time on the chance of any particularly competitive result today. He's taking a bit of a tourist drive. Up front, McCormick's still working at his lead, 1.6 seconds from Albert. Albert's managed to shake Giebler eventually. Oh, why did I say that? Dramas for Alex Albert now, back into third. Getting a little ambitious on the move through the traffic, and everyone runs it off the circuit there. Difficult to outbrake a lap down car that's already outbraking itself. Tim Wyatt going to the pit lane. Shane Cameron, second time on the pit lane. Tim Wyatt pitting has broken up one of the battles that was starting to form, because Perry Elwood, Tim Wyatt, and Davis Trask were all starting to close up a little bit over 6th, 7th, and 8th. It was one of the closer battles inside of the top 10. Wyatt's gone for the pits. After Albert's off-track adventures, starting to close Giebler again for second, but now it's 3.6 seconds from first to second. And with just a little bit more time in hand, I think McCormick can be just a little more selective with when and how he tries to get around the traffic, which is clearly the greatest threat and anxiety to his lead at the moment. Second and third, briefly back to almost a car length. Giebler of Club Ohio, Alex Albert of the Virginias. And I've looked down the iRacing clubs of all present, and I don't think we've got too many hometown heroes. Not a lot of New England Northeast that I can spot whatsoever. A handful of Club New York drivers though. Depending on where they find themselves in the state, they could be not that far away from us here at Lime Rock. Past the halfway point of the race, Lance Cameron pits. Any other drivers thinking that their left sides might be wearing down, might be overheating, thinking about it? No such thoughts for Alex Albert. He's thinking about the inside. He's thinking about second place. And it's about as textbook as a move that you'll get here. So that's Albert into second. Is he going to be able to convert that pace into closing down the leader? Again, Giebler right on it between the curbs. Through the Giebler chicane, as I really want to call it now. Then throws it off the road immediately afterwards. You don't see a lot of passing into the final corner. You don't see a lot of side-by-side through here. Albert doesn't want to wait. And then he wants to go for pit lane. So, strategy call in deciding maybe I'm losing too much time battling with Giebler. Get the fuel, think about a tyre or two, and maybe see if it's possible to undercut and claw back a little bit of time on McCormick. So I want to watch this pit stop pretty closely. Right on the marks, left side of the car goes up for Albert. It's not in the air long. Still a tiny bit of fueling going on. Still quite a bit of fueling going on. So 20-second stop for Albert. That's the reference marker for what Giebler, McCormick and others might do, whether they go longer or shorter than 20 seconds of service. Definitely looked like at least one tyre got changed while they were doing the fuel on that one. Strategy does seem to change car to car, track to track. Of course, are the four cars we use across the season in the ChampCar iRacing series between this Pontiac Solstice, the Ford Mustang FR500S, the Street Stock, and the NC Mazda Miata are all on a different, compound construction style of tyre. So how they give the performance, how much the tyres drop off across a race distance, how much performance gain you get from changing them, how long it takes to change them is different car to car, round to round. So what you'd call the strategy meta, definitely not the same round to round across the ChampCar iRacing series. Flurry of other pit stops, and for Giebler, 23 seconds. A little bit longer than Alex Albert. Also at John Wilding pit, 24 seconds. So all of them a little more than we saw from some of the earlier stops from Shane Cameron, etc. Looking for a lap time from Alex Albert on his first, flying lap. Had just a little bit of traffic, so we'll see how representative this is. 103.7, so 63.7 seconds for that lap. He's punching on. That new tyre is making a difference for him. A lot of right-handers around here, a lot of long right-handers, and just a little more grip through 1, 2, through turn 4 here, through the final 2 corners as well, where you carry a lot of the speed and momentum onto the pit straight. Just a little difference in grip there, yielding quite a bit of lap time, and Mark McCormick responds with 25 minutes to go in round 5 of the ChampCar iRacing Series for 2020, but Albert's been checked up through the chicane and he's looped it around. Neat little 360, but that's no good for the tyre grip, and that's cost him quite a bit of time. Giebler is back past, and it puts Paid to much chance of undercutting Mark McCormick. Didn't catch if there was a tyre change at all for Mark McCormick, but 21 seconds of fuel, he gets rolling back out onto track. And I think he's going to be pretty comfortably ahead of Giebler, and therefore also comfortably ahead of Alex Albert. So, tyres or no, I think 5 seconds in his back pocket, pretty handy for McCormick. So Perry Elwood has a stop, gets back out. David Warden being serviced right now. Jared Cubitt also just took his stop. Leaves now very few drivers who haven't been through pit lane to top off their fuel and cover the strategy. So Andrew Cossack gets scored in the lead. He's running long. Davis Trask, a name we're not entirely well familiar with here in ChampCar iRacing Series, but gotten into the top 10 and stayed in the top 10 most of this race, so keep an eye there. John Hurley in third has not stopped, and then Mark McCormick is all the way up in fourth, having already made his stop. So that is a good sign for him. And then Sean Saputra, the only other remaining driver yet to have pitted this far into the race. Cossack calls time on it from the lead. And Andy Cossack does a lot of the practice rounds and always wants to be well prepared for these. So I hope his strategy is like a well-oiled machine here. He is going to have the left side of the car raise. So fuel still going in. Left side just briefly up. And now waiting on the fuel to complete. Different cars on iRacing have different refueling rates, and some of the more entry-level ones like this Pontiac Solstice do mimic our fuel can situation like many would be used to in the ChampCar Endurance Series. So a gallon doesn't go in like that, like it does for NASCAR or IndyCar. It takes its time, whether you want a gallon or 2 gallons or 3 gallons. And now everyone has been through pit lane. Mark McCormick back to the lead from Giebler, from Albert. Cossack rejoins in 5th. All said and done. Longest stop inside of the top 10, 29 seconds for Davis Trask, but still in the top 10. Might have lost out to Perry Elwood and some of the others there because, just for example, spitballing some numbers here, Trask's pit stop 8 seconds longer than John Hurley, who is less than 8 seconds up the road. Hurley and Butler could be engaged in a bit of battle over 7th. Hurley on his outlap and right into it behind Jordan Butler. First flying lap since the pit stop now for Hurley. Very ambitious line from Jordan Butler. He Keeps up with a bit of the mowing on the apex of the only real left-hand corner around this track. It's all about that momentum up the hill, and I think Butler didn't get it. Almost let Hurley through unless there was a missed shift also to go with it from Butler. So the 7th place runner is up 7 places from 14 on the grid now. Got better part of, more than 10 seconds to look forward to the next car to potentially try to catch. So still time left in this race. But 10 seconds feels like a lot for the style of racing we're seeing here. Can you keep Ian Giebler and Alex Albert apart? The answer from this race so far is no. Because Albert trying to claw back to 2nd place here. Albert, the fastest car on track last time. What's it going to look like this lap again? Any lap time in the 1 minute 3s looks pretty competitive today. And the last one was for Albert. No one else on that lap in that same window, and he goes and does it again. So he's quick. It's a spun car in front of them, off the racing line just as they arrive. Battles elsewhere on track too. Oh, Jarrett Cubitt now off the track, was battling with Lance Cameron. It's come up on Sean Saputra. Saputra's had a moment. And I don't think Cubitt did anything wrong there. I don't think Saputra did anything malicious there. Saputra's certainly helped Jared Cubitt to a little bit of an excursion there, which has helped Lance Cameron to a position. Giebler and Albert separated again. Time loss on this lap for Albert. He's gone in too deep to one. He's caught that grass on the outside, and just like Southern Loop at Phillip Island or the Carousel at Road America, once you're in a really long corner like that and you get out wide and catch some of the grass, the track just gets away from you and it is not easy to recover. So no damage done except for the time lost. Overall leader still Mark McCormick, 4.2 seconds clear of Giebler, and lost a little bit of time across the last few laps, catching a bit of traffic, but that is the give and take of this kind of racing, absolutely to be expected. Went back and had a look, and McCormick absolutely did take the left side strategy, as we saw Albert and others do. So it's not like there should be any or much of any of a tyre deficit here. McCormick should be working with pretty much the same as those behind. Heard once that love is a battlefield. Well, it's the battle of love racing right now, Charles Kowalczyk and Sean Saputra. And with Nick Love out of the race, this might be for the team bragging rights here. In 11th. Bit of damage to Kowalczyk's car. Saputra running it a bit deep into 1 and 2, almost making the same mistake that Alex Albert did. So I think car just looking a little tidier for Saputra. Not putting any money on it, but I think he might be able to do something here. Jared Cubitt continues to be a magnet for attention right in the middle of the standings. He's just ahead of Greg Vandervert and David Warden. Last lap, that might have been an excursion for Cubitt as he lost about 2 seconds. So based on how he was racing Lance Cameron earlier, I think he's got the speed if he tidies it up to leave these two behind. And in fact, Vandervert's going for the pit lane the second time. Giebler would be getting pretty sick of this. He's got Alex Albert all over his bumper again. And some. And they're 5.5 seconds back off Mark McCormick. The peak lap times are enough from these two to gain time to Mark McCormick, but the average, when McCormick has traffic or has an off lap, it's not as far off as seems to happen for our drivers currently in second and third. Car for Giebler just doesn't sit quite right across the curbs. Now, start finish straight. Almost looks like Albert pushing Giebler along points on this lap. Sean Saputra still, I think, with a very misaligned rear alignment for that car. You saw him, I think it was him who helped cube it to a bit of an adventure and gained through the left-hander. No stability for him, so Giebler and Albert managed to thread that needle. Great run off the final corner again. This time, no bump, no waiting. Albert's looking for second place. Underneath 10 minutes to go in round 5 of the ChampCar iRacing Series for 2022. A lot on the line for our guys racing at the pointy end here. And McCormick, a defending champion, has the most wins so far this year. On his way to potentially racking up another, but you never say never in this style of racing, and there's still 20 cars out there circulating in what we established is underneath 1.5 miles of road course. So the story of Mark McCormick's race so far, catching traffic, trying to modulate exactly where and how he gets past them, trying to make sure he keeps his nose away from any potential incident. Up the hill and over the crest they go, and these final 2 sweeping corners is where you start thinking, do I go for it here, or do I just wait it out for the pit straight? McCormick tries to wait it out for the pit straight on Lance Cameron. And gets through with a minimum of fuss. Joined us briefly for the 2 hours at Daytona. Thomas Ellison back with us again. Tom, talk us through, before we get to anything else, the logic for having a couple tracks, having most of the tracks on the schedule being the real ChampCar circuits, but having a couple sprinkled in that aren't.
Thank you, David. Good evening, everyone. Sure. So, as some of you are aware, iRacing offers a selection of tracks that are available in North America that are laser scanned and highly accurate to their real-life counterparts. And these are the tracks that we try and involve in the ChampCar iRacing series schedule because they are analogous to the tracks that ChampCar itself races in. However, we want to give our racers a full series. And some of the tracks that ChampCar visits in real life are not available on the iRacing servers yet. But to make up for that, we use some of the North American tracks, for example, Lime Rock Park, that are not on the ChampCar circuit, but are North American tracks that perhaps potentially could be used for endurance racing in North America in the future. So that's why we try and fill out the schedule with some sort of fantasy tracks around the country that people would want to be involved with.
I like your optimism of saying some of the circuits that ChampCar visits haven't been scanned yet. Not sure iRacing are taking a laser scanner to Harris Hill anytime soon, but I could see them picking up Autobahn, CMP, the Ozarks circuit, for example.
I would agree. Ozarks, is a new track this year, and ChampCar are fortunately hosting their national championship at the track in a couple of weeks' time. But I think there are other venues in the North America that would benefit from iRacing Scan. You've mentioned a couple. CMP and AMP as well, I think particularly would benefit from iRacing Scan. So optimistic that as the service continues to grow and we continue to generate support with this iRacing series in conjunction with ChampCar, that maybe we can at least encourage a little bit of growth in the series as well.
We'll have 5 minutes left to go. Mark McCormick still has a lead of 5 seconds. Albert and Giebler. Them and Davis Trask and Perry Elwood, closest battles on track towards the end here. Tom, got any great facts or statistics for us? I mean, we've seen great participation across all of the rounds so far. Now we're into round number 5. I've got to imagine there's easily 40 or 50 drivers still on their way to that name in the hat for the participation.
Absolutely. We've seen great participation this season so far. I believe that our average race participation in 2021 was around 18 drivers. Today we have 28 drivers on the grid taking the green flag, which is a tremendous advantage. And I think over the first 5 rounds we have seen, I believe, 30 names that are still in contention for that random drawing at the end of the season. So if we keep up participation at this stage, it's going to be a great excitement when we draw that name out of the hat. Oh god, I see an incident there with Nick Love and Charles Kowalczyk. Sorry, that was terrible state of affairs, frankly. Orlando Harrell and Charles Kowalczyk involved in that incident there. Orlando Harrell being 10 laps down and put into the grass by the lapping car.
Not boring start to finish at Lime Rock Park.
Clearly I have missed some incidents tonight. A reminder that obviously all participants in the ChampCar Racing Series are able to raise any objections to conduct proceed on track to the steward and team and myself. We will take a look at any incidents subsequently and, try to apportion blame as it affects racing incidents and racing intent, and try and keep the series fair and fun for everyone who's involved. We see Patrick Pursley here in the car number 21, smoking around the back of the course. He had an incident at the previous lap with a lapped car coming back onto the track, and I think his engine's blown down the hill. He's going to try and coast to the finish line.
Oh, that's one of the few engine failures we've seen, which is... Nope, I'll avoid all the cheap jokes. Patrick Pursley's not going to make it to the pit lane either. With 90 seconds left, Mark McCormick is crossing the start-finish line, and that means 2 more laps. And Giebler might be wishing it was 1. Last time they crossed the line, Albert was in front. Now Giebler's in front. And the size of this layout means any drama out on circuit, you're going to come across it.
Yeah, this is one of the tightest tracks that we visit in the 2022 schedule. This is not a track traditionally used much for wheel-to-wheel racing anymore due to the confines of the structure and the relatively tight restrictions upon activities in the Connecticut neighborhood, which is why ChampCar, I think, does not traditionally visit this circuit. But it is a tight and intense racing environment, as we're seeing now on this.
On for second and third. Yeah, Another tough run up the hill there for Ian Giebler. Alex Albert looking to the right. They'll all just squeeze past Tim Wire in a very spicy little 3-wide moment there. For Mark McCormick at the lead of the race, he's managed to build out the most lead he's ever had, and he'll take the white flag. 1.43 miles more for him. For second and third, I sense some hunger from Giebler. Alex Albert went to cover it off. And you do need to be close, and you do need a good run if you're going to make any moves stick around here at Lime Rock Park, and it probably leaves just that chicane as the last option left for Ian Giebler, and they're catching Lance Cameron.
Alex used the lapped car to his advantage perfectly there on the previous lap. We're coming up to Lance Cameron now. Let's see if Ian can make the move stick as just to get past here.
Giebler not especially close, but he was banking on this. A mistake from Alex Albert. No run up the hill, and then Giebler doesn't know which way to go. There was space to the right. I would have thought maybe he had a bit of a wiggle, but not far up the road in front of them. Mark McCormick will round it through the final corner, and he'll take another win to his championship tally in 2022. Mark McCormick, the winner. Alex Albert looking to hold on to second. And he will. A good race from Ian Giebler as well, though. Always in contention amongst the podium places. A car park will form in the runoff, the very long runoff in the exit of turn number 1 as the rest of the field come through to take the checkered flag. Again, a process that doesn't take that long around a shorter lap like Lime Rock Park. Wilding and Cossack complete the top 5 there. Biggest movers inside the top 10. Well, you got +8 for John Hurley. You got +8 for David Trask. And Sean Saputra just sneaks back into the top 10.
Yeah, tight racing throughout the field. Looks like here tonight. I want to thank you guys in the HJBC booth, David Haynes and Michael Dead producing. Thank you for your support of the racing and the season so far. Look forward to seeing you all at the next one.
Let's take a look at our results tally. Now everyone's had the checkered flag. And at the end, Mark McCormick, 6.7 seconds, his winning margin. From Alex Albert, Ian Giebler completing that podium. John Wilding, Andrew Cossack, John Hurley, Jordan Butler, Davis Trask, Harry Elwood, and Sean Saputra. The other Love Racing car of Charles Kowalczyk then in 11. Lance Cameron, the highest finishing Cameron. So I'm sure he'll let Shane know about that. In 12th, David Warden, Jared Kubert, Jerry Barvanek, Tim Wire, Greg Vandervert, Patrick Pursley, Orlando Harrell, and Harry Ramos. The top 10. Now, your overall winner did 56 laps. So, Shane Cameron did get the halfway, and Justin Hall, I think, has fallen 1 lap short there. 27 laps completed, 26 laps completed for Mark Kruger, 18 for Sophia Neck, and then 13 for Nick Love. It felt like more. 10 for Raymond Murator, and 5 for Faux Weather, 2 for Lee Moorleman. 28 drivers, and 21 of them completing at least half race distance. Now, I'm sure some of them are standing by to say hello. And indeed they are. Well, Ian, congratulations on a podium there. Back and forth with Alex Albert. Enough times that I've run out of fingers to count.
Yeah, that was a really exciting battle with Alex. I really didn't know how it was going to shake out. I thought I had him. We were being really cordial with each other. If someone had a good run, we gave it to him. And I had a run on that last lap, but he blocked me, rightfully so. So we had a fun finish there.
You'd have to expect that on the final lap, potentially. But definitely, do you think you underqualified, or do you think you over-raced today? Because starting from that 10th, by the time we were 5-10 minutes into this race, you were right up there battling for podium spots, and maybe even the win could have been on the cards if they'd fallen differently.
Yeah, I was surprised. I'm used to Mark walking away from us, but with him staying 4 to 5 seconds with us, he wasn't really running away. So there was potential there. I do think I underqualified a little bit. I will say though, and if you followed the chat, there is a lot of chatter about the track limits at this track, and if you know how to get up those S's, you can get 2 to 3 tenths of a second. And I had a good run on those S's, but I couldn't do it cleanly, so I qualified 10th. But right when the race started, I was hitting my line there, and it really bumped me up.
Yeah, those S's definitely seem to be the make or break for lap time around here today. Nailed it a handful of times. I'm sure printed into the back of your memory is the double pass you scored.
Yeah, was that from 5th to 3rd, I think, early on. I was pretty excited when that happened.
Rightfully so. Congratulations. We see plenty of you in the ChampCar iRacing series. What would you say brings you back?
There's good racing throughout the whole pack. So when I joined you guys last year, I was having as much fun as I am having fighting up front for mid-pack positions. And you're racing with real racers, so they respect the driving lines. There's some people out here that are just iRacing, but it seems like a really respectful group to run with. And your broadcasts are second to none. Love watching them, replaying them back.
Delightful. And it's good to speak to you now because we do see your name very often, amongst the top 10 there, but not landing it on the podium. So today's your day. Congratulations. Good handful of points. And then, of course, you're one race closer to your name in the hat for the participation cash as well.
Absolutely. Well, I hope to get to speak to you again in the near future then.
Aim high, and it's a possibility, I'm sure. Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Let's move up to second and grab the ear of the man that Ian Giebler spent a lot of the race battling with. Alex, you had some really quick laps there, and maybe some lapses as well.
Yeah, it's a tough night. A little rusty. Haven't been in the sim since the last round, and I feel like it was showing. Just didn't have the confidence or the skill to work through the traffic effectively tonight. I feel like all my mistakes were related to traffic and it's not dealing with them correctly or efficiently, and ended up costing me time. I think, when Mark got away, that was the first one. And then later after the stops, spun it around and then had some trouble there at the end when fighting with Ian, let him get back in it. So it was a tough night. Glad to get the second place. Really feel like we could have gave Mark a better run if we could have ran a clean race, but congrats to him for bringing home another win.
So I was trying to pull up the schedule there. First round in the Pontiac Solstice for this year. We're not going to see a lot of it, but we are going to see more of it. What do you think it gave us that, say, the Ford Mustang or the Volkswagen Jetta don't?
I think it gave us the ability to race that the Jetta doesn't give us. It's we could actually feel the tires. You saw some cars, get out of shape. People were spinning out. It's something we don't usually have with the Jetta. So I thought it was a good change of pace. I like that it's proper wheel drive. That's always fun. And, comparing it to the Mustang, I think the transmission's a little easier. I would say that's probably the biggest difference with the Mustang. A lot easier to shift. And, it's a great car. They've improved the tires. I felt like they were very similar to the type of tires that we race on in the ChampCar series. They had a good feel, and they had pretty good resiliency. I was pushing them pretty hard there, and still squeaking out some laps towards the end of the race. Must be RS4s, I don't know.
I haven't looked what's actually on the sidewall of them, but sure, why not? And second place is good points for you, but Mark McCormick is he's on a tear for another season in a row.
Yeah, gonna be tough to do much with Mark. Just gotta try to get the days when they come to us. Gave one away, a really good track for us at Daytona. Luckily, we were able to make it up that weekend to dry our tears with the real race. But I don't really count Lime Rock as one of my best tracks. So just, this is a good finish. Got to get the points when Z's not here. Maybe Mark will have some trouble later in the season. Anything can happen. He could have trouble with traffic at the next race like we had at this one.
Well, we'll see you at that next one at Sonoma.
Thanks. Yeah. Hopefully Ian's good with everything. We were, racing hard, and I kind of feel bad about the block there on the last lap, but my race brain just took over and I had to put the car where it had to be. So hopefully no hard feelings there. It was a lot of fun racing him.
You do what you do, and he was rather congratulatory of and appreciative of the battle you guys had when we spoke to him earlier.
Well, good deal. Yeah, I look forward to many more battles with him later in the season. So thanks again for your time, guys.
Thanks, Alex. See you next round. Finally, we are going to get to our winner. One of the closer races I think we've had all year, all season so far, Mark. Though I say that, Road Atlanta was pretty damn close too. 6.7 seconds at the end sort of undersells the pressure you were on start to finish, where, right in the pack, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, there's no room for a mistake there.
Yeah, for sure. Lime Rock is not my strong suit. And this Solstice, managing the understeer is pretty tough around some of these high-speed corners. I knew I wasn't going to run away with this race. I told myself I'd be happy with second place. It really sucks about what happened to Simon on the first lap. I watched it back a few times after the race, and I tried to stay to the left, and by the time I realized he was actually going to turn in, it was too late on the brakes. But I was halfway up. I don't know. I wish that hadn't happened, because I think we would have had a lot of good racing.
Simon had a very strong qualifying there. Everyone else pretty close behind. Was there more time out there for you in qualifying, or Simon a bit of a magician?
Yeah, I think Simon and I were pretty equal. I just didn't make it a point to really get any kind of decent draft with anyone. And I guess that just goes to show you the power of the draft round. Pretty much any track in these cars that we run in this series.
And talk us through the pit strategy, because we saw the left side go up for almost everyone through the stops. Looked like a free tire or two. What did you end up going with?
Yeah, less for free. With the amount of fuel that you have to take. So I took lefts, because that front left just gets barbecued, man, especially with that track temperature, which just makes the understeer that much worse. So, it just makes sense to take free tires, I guess.
And passing the traffic around this layout with this car, talk us through that, because obviously once you were a second clear of those behind, that was the game where you caught lap down cars and how you got around them.
Yeah, I guess it comes with experience, or just time doing races like this, where you come up on people and you got to learn how to discern what they're saying, what their language is with the car. If they know that you're coming, you'll kind of be able to tell, and if they don't know, then to be on your toes a little bit more, because you might surprise them when you come up. So just being really careful and leaving plenty of space and making myself known. I think I get through the field here pretty decently. I haven't hit anyone in a while, passing traffic anyways.
You jinxed yourself? I'm not sure, but I don't know what else to say. Congratulations on a win that I think the timing sheet at the end undersells it, how you fought.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for putting all this on.
Catch you at Sonoma.
Yes, sir. See you later.
There we go. Our podium from round number 5 of the ChampCar iRacing Series 2022 from Lime Rock Park, the Solstice, on the Grand Prix layout. Quick look at your results once again, and congratulations go to our podium: Ian Gabler, Alex Albert, and Mark McCormick. Round 6 cannot be too far away, and that's going to be West Coast, Best Coast at Sonoma in the NC Mazda MX-5 Miata. That one definitely could be interesting, and again, fuel strategy, tyre strategy, and a lot of loaded corners. A challenging circuit, up and downhill. Some blind corners to go for it as well. I've been David Haynes, and it's been Michael Derby producing here. Tom Ellison joined us briefly on HJBC for ChampCar iRacing Series coverage. Look forward to seeing you next time out for round 6.